Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How are y'all tonight?
It's that time again. Well, welcome to another What Really Matters. We have a good topic tonight. It's one that we personally very close to and have a great story. Got a lot. In fact, we could probably make it into 2 episodes if we wanted to. But we're going to see if we can cram it all in here tonight and get you some exciting information about boundaries. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. Boundaries in your relationship.
And trespassers can still come in through those stupid boundaries you set up. They're not stupid, they're purposeful. But we want to share how, even though you do the best boundaries you can, you still have to be careful. Because we actually have a story that where we have a trespasser, so to speak, that we still have to deal with it.
Still have to. Yeah, that's true.
And so we're going to share all that tonight.
We're going to talk about, you actually have to intentionally protect your marriage and your entire life, really. But we're going to talk specifically a lot tonight about your marriage, between your marriage and other people, and even within the marriage.
Right. Boundaries are needed everywhere. Everywhere.
Boundaries are good. They establish an understanding and a relationship. And without having boundaries, someone else may think that it's okay to do different things or approach you in certain manners or talk about certain things that are inappropriate for you in a relationship with your wife and or even you personally. It's important.
I'm going to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Sorry. So when y'all get on, just pop in here and say, hey, and where are you from? Leave a comment so we know you're watching.
Sure.
And this is Todd Wyatt. This is Michelle Wyatt, in case you don't know who we are. He forgets that most
I
of the
do.
time.
I know who I am. Don't you guys know who I am?
So my awesome hot toddy is amazing. And we do have this wonderful story to share about boundaries with trespassing. And we learned about boundaries a long time ago from some amazing pastors. Love you, Tiffany.
Yep.
My girl.
Yeah, we learned a lot from these particular pastors as well as others. So we brought it into our life, and lo and behold, they were right. And we thought it was a little over the top at first, but we realized, nope, not over the top. Right on.
Hey, Nancy.
Perfectly. So I'm glad you guys are joining us in here. Tonight, we're going to particularly talk about marriage being a treasure and treating it as a treasure.
Right.
And not just handing it out freely or letting someone else come in and steal your treasure. And
because they will.
They will. A lot of times it's purposeful and sometimes it's unintentional. And put yourself in bad situations and you will end up with bad results. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things that we can do. Some find the idea of boundaries being, not just old-fashioned, but they also see it as being too restrictive or constrictive in a relationship. It's actually quite the opposite. You need to define amongst ourselves. We have, we'll talk about a little bit later about things that we've recognized are boundaries, so it's kind of no-go areas,
right,
or shouldn't-go areas.
Right.
And at the same time, on the flip side of that, we open our lives to each other completely.
I ain't got nothing to hide, because if I did, then I shouldn't be married to him.
Yeah, what are you going to...
that's really the whole thing. And we're bringing this up because we know a lot of other people, I'm just probably already starting, but go ahead.
We got things going here.
I've got so many stories,
breakdown.
But, I've got a friend, an acquaintance that, she wants into her husband's stuff, but he can't see any of her stuff. Well, what does that tell you?
That means
why is she hiding and why is she snooping?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not a healthy marriage relationship. So
that's a good start to a bad thing is what that is. Guard your marriage. That's what we're talking about. This is the way to guard it and keep it as important as it should be. This should be one of the most important things right under God that you have going on in your life.
Well, it should. And you're supposed to nurture it. And so what are the things that we should be doing?
Like you were just talking about, we open up each other by allowing each other, just because we're open about it, get into my Facebook, email.
I don't care. I don't care either.
If I have to think twice about whether my wife can see an email or a Facebook post or anything else that I'm doing, something's wrong with it. Yeah. And that means it carries some sort of shame with it. And if that's the case, then that's a good sign that you probably, it sounds over the top, but it's real simple. You just keep everything
but
straight up. That's all.
Right.
What you see is what you get.
Right.
And if you find things needing to be in your hide section of your phone with a password on it, you got something going on.
The funny thing is, so I can get into his Facebook if I want to,
Sure.
so I can go and check it. But I don't remember his password because I don't ever go in and check it because I don't really feel the need to, right? So the other day, a couple of weeks ago, we were checking Facebook, the messages, where you get the filtered messages and the little requests from people you don't know.
I don't even know how to get there.
He doesn't know anything about it. And I said, well, I need to go check that because I get them, but they're usually scammers. They're people who are wanting information or people pretending to be guys in the military who's asking for money. And so I was just like,
some little pudgy kid in the basement.
Yeah, who knows, where they're from or what they're doing. So I always just block them, but he knows they're there. I mean, he knows that I get them. I don't hide it. And so I went into this is hilarious because I go into his Facebook, have to get him to do the password because I don't know it. And here he is putting it in. And you know what? 3 years ago?
I don't know.
Something like 3 years ago, this girl that knew him in high school sent a message to them. Hey, Robin, sent a message to him that said, hey, did you go to Katy High School or whatever? And I was like, oh, you still got girls hunting you down from, so block this chick, just saying.
But brings up
funny because he had no idea that she had even sent it.
No. That brings up a good sidebar, which is kind of related to the whole boundaries thing, which is if you have old people from the past that are checking, coming to see you on Facebook, that's what it's for, right? I mean, people want to see where they are. I've got some old friends that I just got through finding on there. They're guys. I do not have any female friends on my Facebook that she doesn't know about, and they're generally close friends. I don't have anybody.
And he doesn't. Here's what happens. This is what he does, okay? This is how dumb he is when it comes to, not dumb, that's a bad word.
That's a boundary.
That is a boundary. I don't say those words. And I didn't mean it like that. What's a good word? Naive, maybe, with Facebook, or how he doesn't know how to use it. So my words aren't coming out right tonight, but whatever.
I put all my energy into the computer.
He goes to Facebook and he thinks he's getting Facebook requests, but it's actually people you may know, and he sends a friend request, and he did that, and it was women, but it's because they were connected to other people he knew. You know how Facebook does, and he's like, I don't know how I got to be friends with them.
I have no clue.
I was like, well, stop sending friend requests to other women.
It only happened.
Yes. So anyway, that's just funny stuff, But the reality is, we don't hide anything from each other. And
well, that'll bring me to my latter part of that first point that I was just trying to make. If it is somebody from your past who happens to be your age, from your high school or something like that, and they're interested in possibly getting back together with you, sharing that information that you have right now, it's one thing to say that they're an acquaintance that you might be able to have an occasional thing with, as long as you're sharing it with your wife or husband who knows about this and they know that you're married and whatnot, and then you can decide from there. But you don't select old friends. My personal strategy for it all was, I've had a few that have come back that were interested in something, I'm not sure what, but I guarantee you that I said, nope, that's done. If you are part of my life, you will grow into my life. If you come into my life from a long time ago, then I hold my marriage at a very high regard, so I don't carry a conversation with them. I don't carry them as friends.
Well, let's get into, we're going to talk about how we set up some boundaries so that we can help give y'all some ideas in case you don't know. Of course, that was part of it. You let your spouses into your stuff. Emails and Facebook and phone and whatever. So,
and it's not done in a way where, I saw something just in the news the other day or on Facebook, one of these posts where somebody was like, some viral nonsense that was out there, that was some woman was telling this guy that you shall do this, you shall do that.
I saved it so we can do another, we're going to do another thing on it. That's not tonight.
That ties into the boundaries. Yeah, we got a bunch of
it.
So anyway.
But when you protect your marriage, you know what? Here's the one thing that I really cannot stand watching. And that is, hearing. Love is enough. And we trust each other and we can never be unfaithful. And a little flirting is harmless. That's not true. a little flirting is harmless, and love is not enough. And I know you've got love and you've got trust in your relationship, but I can tell you now, if he's out with some floozy that's flirting with him, I don't care if it's at work or if it's at church or at a grocery store on a date, or
they're just lining up.
They are lining up, baby. I would not trust it. You know what I mean? So love and trust is not enough. You do not always have the capability. So that's why you put your boundaries up. So I want to go in. Here's the big story that we're going to go into. We have so much that we want to tell you all about boundaries, and I'm screaming again because I get so excited when I have a topic.
Here's the trigger incident.
Okay, so first of all,
I used the word trigger.
You did. We learned all this stuff a long time ago with some church pastors about, protecting each other and stuff. And I thought it was a little over top. And then I was like, okay, so I'm going to tell y'all this story, and it's going to probably be a little lengthy, and I'm sorry, but it really describes exactly how once you set up your boundaries.
Where did you put the pillows?
Around the.
No, I was just kidding about.
Oh, yeah, he's going to take a nap while I tell my story.
Here we go.
So we set up our boundaries. You know what I'm saying? Like we make sure that when we're with the opposite sex, if we're with somebody else, which we're generally not, because that's a hard and fast rule we have, we always make sure we talk about our spouse, because that's a big thing, and we're going to get into that in a minute. So we go to, I just have to say it the way it really is, because there's only 5 people at our office. So there's a girl at work, and there's only one other girl besides me. So this, just saying. So anyway, he started working there about 10 years ago. I started about 6 years ago. She's got a lot of problems and a lot of drama, and she started depending on him to get feedback on how to do her marriage and all this kind of stuff. And he thought he was helping by giving advice, but he had not, he still had like this wall up, but she hadn't. She had gotten all her fingers and her emotions and her stuff and was just all into him. And when I started working there about 6 years ago, I said, she's having an emotional affair with you. And he said, no, not really.
I said, what?
I can see it. I'm not dumb.
What?
And so he's like, well, I said, just tell her she can come talk to me about her relationship problem. She doesn't need to talk to you. And we'll just fix it. It's not going to be a big deal, because I don't think it's really intentional, and I don't think she's like really after you, but there is an emotional tie. So he started watching, and he realized that there was, and she just needed his attention and whatever. And so fast forward for a few years, he had slowly, kind of separated himself from it and told her to talk to me. And I tried to get involved a lot more in the stories and all that kind of stuff. And so when y'all are popping on, we're talking about boundaries and trespassers. And I'm telling y'all about my trespasser right now. And say hello, put it in the comments. Sure. So anyway, this girl at the office.
Don't worry, I'll pop in here in a minute.
So this girl at the office is, I kind of felt bad for her, because I knew what was going on in her home life and stuff.
There's a lot going on.
Okay, but we're going to fast forward after we think everything's kind of okay and getting better and not so bad. And then this last February, she went to give him a message that she had actually already sent to him in Facebook Messenger. Like, why would you do that if it's the office? He was in the bathroom. Yeah, everybody's got to go sometime. So he's in the bathroom, and she gets this phone call. And instead of texting him, which, I would have no problem with texting my boss.
Grumbly clients, consultants.
Yeah, so she thought, anyway, she made it into this really big deal because she likes drama.
I'm sure he sounded like a big deal.
Yeah, but don't defend.
Yeah,
no. I am not over this yet. Anyway, so he's in the bathroom, and she sends him a Facebook message, and he replies. And then she comes and opens the bathroom door. This is on the main hall where other people are going in. Other people are walking around the main part, okay? And opens the door to give him this message. Holy cow.
I'm not exactly in the stall that she opens, but
he is in the stall, but she still opens the bathroom door. My whole point is, I mean, I don't even...
Your whole point is, who does that?
Who does that? Oh, anyway, needless to say, I got a little upset as his wife.
Yeah.
That there's another woman who feels comfortable enough to open the bathroom door while he is going to the bathroom. Because let me tell you, even at the house, that's one of our boundaries. We don't generally open the door on each other.
For the love of God, let me be to pee.
I mean, it's just, we just don't. So, but that's just for, that's just for us.
It is.
I mean, you know, everybody can do their own thing when it comes to that part. But opening the door on the opposite sex of a coworker. And you know what her response was? Well, I'm sorry that I have upset you. I'm sorry that I crossed the line that you have. Which are not apologies, because she's never acknowledging she done anything wrong. It's all about me and how I must be wrong. Anyway, as y'all can tell, tonight's topic is so close to home. Because, so then after we talked,
we've been holding on to it for a while.
Oh, because I couldn't talk about it. I thought I was going to just cry and scream and carry on, because let me tell you, it still bothers me. Because she never apologized, which, I mean, that's not the big deal, but she acts like there's nothing wrong. So fast forward another few months. So at that point, though, she said, well, we've been working together for 10 years, so we're familiar enough with each other that this is just what we do.
No.
Not no, but no. I mean, no, you just don't. Anyway, so now we're going to fast forward to August. February to August, that's 6 months' time, right? We're going out of town to San Antonio. And he made sure, I told him, I was like, she's going to call you and text you the whole time we're gone. Because we're gone. And so he told her, don't, you know, she has to call and text you. So, or to me. So he tells her that. And she does. And she keeps it. And then there's drama at the office. So when we go back, he has to deal with the drama. Guys, there's 5 people. We're 2 of them and the owner. So there's only 2 other people in the back that the drama happens. So go figure. And I know this is a long story, but I'm telling you how the trespassers come in whether you've put your boundaries up or not.
It doesn't matter how small your office is.
She's got her emotional ties. And here's the real proof of it. So he goes back to go talk to them and tell them, you know, what their problem is. And she sits there and says, I'm just saying, y'all, I miss the relationship. She told him she missed the relationship and she wasn't happy at the office anymore. And maybe she should move back to her space so she could talk to him some more. No, that's not going to happen. And of course, he was really smart. He fixed it and he responded in the way he should have. And that kind of put it in its place. I mean, she's crying and everything. And she's saying it where I can hear it. I mean, she's not even hiding it.
It happened during the meeting we were having.
Well, that's what I mean. And when he was talking to her about this stupid drama in the office, she's telling him how much she misses her relationship with him and she's not happy at the office anymore. So that tells you that there's an emotional tie. So then there's another time. Was that the time you said I won't be your husband or your dad? Mm-hmm. Okay, so because I told him this is all coming, I knew it was. So he told her then, you know, I'm not your husband, I'm not your dad, I don't know what you need, but you need to talk to Michelle, you need to do something else, but that's not me. And so, you know, we kind of thought we had this beat. And I told him, I said, at this point, she can't talk to you about anything but work. I mean, guys, there's 5 people. This is awful. You know what I mean? And so so then, like 2 weeks later, she comes out and Todd, I need to talk to you. They go into the conference room and she starts crying and she needs somebody to talk to because she misses the relationship that we have. Oh my word! This is twice in a couple of weeks that she's telling him she's not happy at the office because they don't have a relationship anymore.
It wasn't a relationship.
Okay, I'm going to tell y'all. He didn't have the relationship. She had the relationship. And trust me, because I'm there. I know. I watch it. I see it. So now he's having to tell her, you know, she starts talking and She starts talking to him all the time, and they whisper.
She is just ripping this table apart over here. You can't see it on camera. I wish I could take it and show you the hole in the table.
It's because of the topic. I'm just frustrated. But anyway, so I told him, I'm like, okay, so your conversations with her are just about work, because now you can't even talk to her about family. I mean, maybe the weather and stuff, because she's just not getting it. And I'm there. It's not like the wife isn't around. I'm sitting, 30 feet away from y'all?
Yes.
I mean...
What that means is we recognize that there was somebody who was trespassing.
Right. But we had put up boundaries that protected ourselves. She wasn't looking for a physical relationship like that. She just wanted somebody to be able to share her life with and her personal things. But it was in a very
about
emotional
her family
bond
and things like that has no place for another male employee or at the office, especially in a supervisor position, to be talking about such things. So we learned a lot from the process. And so we have a trespasser. We recognized it. We confronted the trespass. But a lot of times trespassers feel a little entitled to some of the property that they've taken.
Because then she comes along when we went to Arkansas 2 weeks ago and is sending him work emails with winky faces in it. And I'm the one who's doing his emails while we're traveling because, he's driving. So I open up I'm a secretary everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm opening the emails and I'm reading it. And I'm like, why is there a winky face? I mean, not that that's a horrible thing, but I'm telling you, I would not send a professional email to my employer or anyone else with a winky face in it. And so I told him, I was like, okay, this has to stop because I'm about to just explode. So his response to her was, this is a professional email. We don't need emoticons in our emails because, we're business. And so now she's gotten down to the point where she's just trying... yesterday and today, it's, I need you to help me on the computer, or I need you to help me set up a watch. And I told her, the reality is I'm the one who does that at our house. So if you want help, I can do it. And today he sent her to me. So our whole point on this whole big drawn out story of this trespasser is we put up boundaries. We protected ourselves. She kind of inched her way in. We felt sorry for her. We wanted to help her. And then she's kind of just put her fingers in emotionally because she didn't have a good husband at home. And so she was kind of looking to him, not really as her husband, but just as a male in her life that she could turn to, which is, that's inappropriate. Right. So,
the point being of the story is we put up fences. We put up real, not physical fences, but we set fences up and they were breached probably about 3 times, which means, if you think you just put up, what am I going to do? Paint my desk purple? Those of you who know will know what that means. But that's not enough. What it also means is the same thing, like whenever you have a situation in your life that you're trying to prevent or you don't like, there's something that's coming into your life or there's something happening in your life that you don't like, and you pray about it. What's one of the more interesting things that you get back from God? A lot of times it means you need to change something. Not only may you be attracting it, which I wasn't in this particular case, but
you were just clueless it was happening.
You may also be allowing things to have to be discussed, or you may be allowing them to come up to the fence, and each time someone comes up to the fence moves back a little bit. Mm-hmm. And what that means is, as time goes on, we've managed to get this individual to... We've kind of got it slowed. It hasn't stopped, but it has slowed, which means now
she definitely knows there's a problem because she'll say, "Well, y'all have pulled away." Because there's been some
maneuvering around the post.
She says, "Y'all have pulled away from me," and so she's trying to find different areas and different ways.
And that's good because that means she recognized that we're taking action, and she knows what we're taking action against. We're very upfront about it.
Right.
Those are very necessary things. If the person's clueless as to what your boundary was and you haven't discussed it with them, they just think you're being mean or you're being aloof. You've got to be upfront, and sometimes you got to be curt. I was just very matter of fact about the whole thing.
Right.
No reason to have to cut bait on this thing. We just wanted to make the situation. But it means that I now have, whenever the situation comes up, I'm burdened with the fact that I have to, at least for quite a while from now on, determine is what's coming into me, a trespass or a legitimate work
Right, because
request.
she's using work now because that's her only way to him. Sometimes she's using work to try to get his attention. And part of me is like, I know she has to talk to him about work, and that's fine. And I get it because, we're all there together, and this is not one where there's going to be an affair being had from it. But we need to protect ourselves. And
Sure.
so we're going to get into some more now.
So
that
we learned a lot.
We've just told you our trespasser story after putting up our boundaries. And this person, I pray for her daily. I pray for her marriage. And I can't imagine what it must be like for either her or her husband for her to be, needing to search out somewhere else.
We have done many things to help.
So
we care about this individual. Otherwise, we'd be a whole lot different.
To bring them marriage books and everything else. Yeah. So, our hearts kind of break for their relationship. Right. So, what we want to talk about is...
but anyway, that's as raw as it is right there. We just wanted to put it out there so you know where we're coming from.
That's a big deal,
it wasn't
people.
Intended to be anything else for you to be able to say. That might have been an extreme example for a lot of people that are out there. But you know what? You'd be amazed at how common that is.
Well, but if
change
he didn't
your story
stop,
for your
or
situation.
If I didn't work there to see it and it didn't stop, and this is what we're about to get into,
right.
Those are the things that lead to the relationships that, while we didn't mean for it to happen, not that I really think that's where this one was going, but that's why you have to protect yourself, because these are things to consider when you've got to keep boundaries with the opposite sex. You're not as strong as you think you are. Temptation comes along, and a lot of times, people are like, well, I didn't mean to do it. Well, you did. You took baby steps to get to that direction, and then it happens. But you didn't stop it along the way. See, this was stopped, and we weren't even the ones really kind of doing anything. It was coming to us. It's still coming to us.
Folks, you're grown. You're grown adults. And we're telling you about a situation, and everyone can find some of this in their life at a variety of different levels and different locations. You can take action a little at a time. It's a whole lot better than a whole lot at one time.
We're going to go into a few boundaries here that we think should be set up, okay? And if you're just now getting on, say hello, tell us where you're from. And we're talking about boundaries and putting up fences to keep out trespassers. And we just told you about this trespassing woman that won't go away. So if you want to hear that, you'll have to go back and get it.
But number one on the list is guys.
Girls
it works
too.
Both ways, but I'm telling you, don't go out alone in a car or anywhere else with a person of the opposite sex.
Okay.
That is one of the things you see like the vice president does, and everyone mocks him for it.
But I want to tell you,
there's a good example for him to set for people to realize a lot of things can happen in a
But this one didn't
situation.
heed that advice, because those were our rules. And this woman that we're talking about at work, I had told her plenty of times, we don't do things with the opposite sex alone. Well, she talked him into going to lunch the next day on one of the days that I wasn't there. And this is a long time ago.
8 years ago.
Yeah, 6 years ago when I first started there, 7 years ago. And he came home and told me he went to lunch with Brooke. He didn't hide it. He went to lunch, and I was so upset because that's not something we did. And when we got to the office the next day, what did she say? Oh, well, I went to lunch with him.
Oh, yeah.
And that was where I should have realized, which I kind of did, that there was something to what she was doing on purpose. And so now, even all these years later, that we're still having to deal with this. Okay, so don't go alone anywhere, even if it's to lunch, because it's just not a good idea.
Anything can happen. Anything, we even had a situation, that was in the news recently with, some high-level officials that very well could have been avoided. Anyway, we won't go there, but there's a lot of situations where accusations can rail when those situations are there.
Well, and today you've got phones and everything else, so even if you decided that that's what you were doing, somebody's just going to take pictures and record you anyway, so it's not going to be a secret. Talk about your spouse often when you're talking with others. So when you're talking to your friends or to your family, or especially if you're talking to the opposite sex, for whatever reason, you always talk about your spouse.
Why
you know,
wouldn't you?
That's because you keep them at the forefront. When you keep them up here, you're like, yeah, that's my man. That's my man.
And then
baby.
you don't have to worry. If you just keep your discussions like that in the forefront, you don't ever have to worry about what the conversations are because, well, you don't ever, get off track whenever you have that placed in the front of your mind.
You always involve your spouse. So if you're having a conversation with somebody, which is what we just talked about yesterday with this girl at the office, he's like, just go see Michelle. She can do it for you. Don't flirt with the opposite sex or anyone. Don't counsel somebody or give advice, which is what he was doing, which is why she was having the issue to start with.
Yeah, don't give guys perspectives.
Right. And so that's kind of what really, that's where the big faux pas was. He thought he was helping, but it actually has caused a huge problem for us. So, yeah, we've already talked about that. Okay, so we're a little over our time that we try to keep it at, but I want to talk about setting boundaries with each other as well.
Yeah, we do that.
Because, so I see new people coming on. We're talking about boundaries and putting up your fence so that trespassers can't come in. But we just talked about how we let a trespasser in unknowingly. Right. So go back and watch that.
Doesn't matter how you build it or how sharp you make it, they can get through.
They can still get through. You just have to be really careful. So now we're going to talk about, so then we've told all these boundaries, how to protect your marriage and to guard it. But now we need to figure out, there's still got to be some boundaries right here, okay? And those boundaries, people are like, of course, I was kind of like, wow, we don't have boundaries. And if y'all know us, we're together 24/7. And I mean, there's pretty much, there's nothing that...
You couldn't possibly get away with anything anyway. What you see is what you get. And we're both that way. So
I'm kind of like, well,
right.
what's our boundaries? But we did set boundaries. We did. And I didn't realize it until we started studying this.
We built them ourselves from scratch.
Well, we did. It was kind of out of protecting ourselves. But, when you tell people in your household, we don't use the word shut up or we don't use whatever words, those are boundaries that you've placed because you don't want any negative speak in your house. So we did that with each other.
Right.
And his big thing that he used to tell me was, there's two of them. Don't speak to me like I'm your child. Because if I got ticked off at him, I would talk to him like he was too. But I also had a bunch of littles, and that's what I knew. And so he said, don't speak to me like I'm your kid. I'm not your kid. Don't do it. And I was like...
That can ruin intimacy real fast.
And I also did the thing like Ray Romano's wife did. It's kind of embarrassing. But, if I was upset...
What did she
she did call him an idiot a lot. And I didn't do it a lot, but I did it when I was upset. And one day I said, I was reading a marriage book. And I said, okay, baby, what can I do to make your life better? Because that's what a wife is supposed to do. And you know what he said? Quit calling me an idiot. And I was like, oh, dang. Okay, so those are actually boundaries that we've set.
Oh, there was one more I just thought about.
Okay.
You said, what was the first one you said? Don't talk to me like a child?
Yeah, that was you.
And my other one was, don't talk to me like that.
Well, I had my own issues, which was don't talk down to me because you're not smarter than me just because you went to college and I didn't finish high school. And although I have to say I kind of sometimes don't feel quite as smart. I know, I just said feels it. I didn't say. Anyway, so, and then he didn't really want to help with chores and stuff around the house when we first got married. And I was like, yeah, you will. And so those are some boundaries that we set in our house. And I know those don't sound like boundaries, but they actually are because they're protecting us. Because there's little things you have to do for yourself to protect yourself, even from the spouse while y'all are working things out and growing in your marriage. And so, anyway, those are just a few things we did. There was another one I was thinking of, and land have mercy, my brain stopped again. It was a big one.
Oh, well. She'll call you at 2 a.m. when she figures it out.
We had another one.
Leave your number up there and she'll call.
But
No,
we don't put ourselves in a situation to where we will feel like that there's where it's questionable. And so we just have to, hey, Cecilia.
Boundaries are important. That's what all this discussion was about. Think about the things in your life that are intruding on you that you don't want or you know are unsafe or do not provide anything positive in your life. Those are the things you need to separate yourself from, put a boundary around it, and start to take action against these things. Just saying no and putting a fence up is not enough in many circumstances.
And nurturing your spouse, nurturing your marriage, and building that relationship and concentrating on that, that's where you have to go. And that'll help when you're doing the boundaries. And then just keep your eyes open, because you know there are ways that things happen where even like I said, the trespasser, which was not necessarily a sexual affair of any kind, but it still caused a lot of grief, and it still does now for me, because she knows it and she manipulates it on purpose to cause me to have issues at my desk. And so we still kind of battle that. And I'll just text him and I just pray all the time, God, I'm going to have a good day and it's all going to be fine and it's going to be good. And I've gotten a lot better. I've grown through a lot in the last few weeks after hearing she still wanted to have a relationship. So, which, I mean, there was none, so I'm going to clear that up. But just saying. So it causes strife in your home and in your marriage to allow those things. And sometimes it happens and you don't even realize it. And that's what this one's about. So.
And what are the boundaries for? Protecting things that are important.
Right.
And my goodness, what's more important than your spouse?
Well, nothing in my eyes.
Just God.
Just God. God is much more important. Okay, we have been talking for 40 minutes, which seems to be our time frame. Well, about 40. I don't know for sure how long. So what we like to do is pray for everybody. And we never do this without ending in prayer. So I want to let you know that you can always come and comment or send messages to Todd or I to get prayer. And we won't discuss it with anybody. Nobody will ever know. And we'll just pray for you. And so, are you praying tonight or am I?
You are.
I am. Okie doke. You ready?
I am ready.
Okay, y'all ready? We're praying. Father, I thank you and I praise you. And I thank you for my wonderful husband and my marriage and all the things that you've taught us, Lord God. And I thank you that we're decided to go out and do what we believe you've shown us to do and share our stuff with the world. Mm-hmm. So I just pray right now that everybody who watches this learns and values the boundaries, Lord God, that they would learn to protect and nurture their marriage, that they would put their spouses up on a pedestal, so to speak, Father God, not above you.
No.
I just pray for these marriages to cultivate and to grow and to find love and joy with one another, Father God, and happiness, and any needs that are out there that need to be met. I just pray, Lord, we pray, speak healing. We speak finances into homes, jobs where they need to be. Father, anything that, relationship issues, especially in the marriage, Lord, we pray for healing. And we just thank you and we praise you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, so we just prayed for y'all, and we're gonna end this. Please like and share the videos so that this will help other people if you think it will. I think it will, because it was a real eye-opener for us. And if you have topics that you want us to cover, because we've pretty much done everything and we've got a lot of topics to do.
Sure.
But we would love to hear from y'all as well, and we can cover that.
We're constantly shuffling them. But Thank you guys for checking in on us and allowing us to share things with you. Sometimes we get a little extra personal, but it's important to share it and to express some of the ideas and things we've learned. So thank you for tuning in with us.
Thank you, Nancy.
And feel free to communicate with us anytime you can. But hey, we just talk
guys, communicate to Todd.
Yeah, that's right.
And girls communicate
That's
to
how
me.
it's going to be done.
That's the way we're going to do that. The only guys that are on my Facebook are the boys that are my son's friends from church. I've gone through to make sure I don't have any, I don't have men on my Facebook.
Right.
I mean, my dad and, those my uncles. But I'm talking about people that's not related.
Yeah. Anyway, hey, that's what really matters.
It is what really matters.
That's
you
what
are what really matters.
You are what really matters.
We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.